Hello everybody and welcome back to Sin City Living. Apologies for not having posted as much lately as I usually do. Been a busy couple of weeks, schedule changes, a lot of things going on at work, but hopefully I can get myself back into the swing of things, so we'll be bringing you guys some more videos. As always, a shout out of appreciation to our patrons. All those tips of support are very appreciated. Once we get the live stream going, we're probably going to do a patron only live stream, but otherwise right now I hope you guys are enjoying the videos that we're able to put out with the entire How to Deal Dice class. So should have a couple more of those coming out in the next couple of days. And for everybody else, please keep an eye. We're still struggling getting the live stream going. I think I've got the equipment. I'm just having some issues, compatibility issues, but I'm going to get them figured out. We're going to get the live streams going, starting out with the craps tournament. Right now I only have about 7 or 8 players, but I'm hoping that a few more of you guys will email us with some interest in it. We are going to have to back the time up from Thursdays at 6 to probably 4:30. My schedule did change. I no longer have Thursdays off. Yeah, that being said, if you're curious about the Patreon live streams and stuff like that, just check the description of the video down below. And otherwise, we're going to go ahead and jump right into today's video. So for today's video, I want to answer an email we received from John. I want to answer some of his questions that he asked. So John's questions dealt with table limits. And judging from his email, let me scan through it real fast. Judging from his email, the closest ones to him seem to be tribal casinos that apparently do have craps. So, okay. And he's talking about a $500 max bet. Now, what I'm going to go over could apply to any table and any max bet, okay? So what he wants to know is, let's say he's on the inside. So he's got the 5 and 9. Now, he specifies a $480 6 and 8. So basically he's saying, what if you've managed to press it all the way up, okay? Well, here's the thing. The first thing that I will say is, now I cannot speak for tribal casinos. They do have some of them will have different rules. But in general, the table max, at least here in Vegas, and some of the out-of-state casinos, I know I have some friends that have worked for them. The table max, when it comes to the 6 and 8, you can actually exceed that to the first proper bet that would make sense. Generally, what you look at is you look at the 5 and 9. When they are at table max, what does that pay? Because at first gut instinct is almost to say that the table max for a 6 and 8 would be $540, because $54, so $540, right? Obviously, you can go much closer to 500 and be a proper bet, but generally, what they look at is they look at the 5 and 9. What do those win? And okay, that is the maximum that a 6 and 8 can win. So even if you were on a $500 maximum bet table, the chances are pretty good that your maximum bet on the 6 or 8 is going to be $600. Okay, because 600 pays 700. On the 5 and 9, 500 pays 700. So the casino's not giving up any additional money. What they're doing is they're making it very, very easy as far as the bets go. Of course, they could just do a straight $500, which would pay $583. But most likely, that table max is going to be $600. So I'm going to operate under the $600 just because it's easier for answering the rest of the question. So what he is wondering, and there's a couple small errors in this that I'll get into, but what he is wondering is, can you do a put bet? Could you do a put bet? And now here's what he is also asking. So he's wondering, could you do a $500 put bet? Could you put the point? And then could you do max odds? Now he is saying max odds would be 3,000. So they must allow 6 times odds, which is kind of interesting, but okay. Most places, 3, 4, 5, it'd be 25. 10 times odds would be 5,000. And the first thing I'm going to say with this, no. No, because of this right here. This exceeds the table max. 3,000 is higher than the table max. The table max applies to all bets. but generally individual pieces of the bets. For instance, if you did a put bet for $500 and 500 is the table max, most casinos would allow you to do $500 odds because that is the table max. Which is why when it comes to put bets, let's say you run a 10 times table. Because I actually worked at a place that was a 10 times odds or 20 times odds and had a $1,000 max bet. So what ended up happening was once we hit a good roll, the player just started doing $50 put bets, $50 come bets. So that way they could do $1,000 odds because that $1,000 is the max, $1,000 table max. So could you do a put bet and then do table max odds? Absolutely, yes, you could most of the time. There are some casinos that their table max is to the number, all right? And I'll get into that in just a second because I want to go through the rest of what he asks. So what he's asking, so he asks, could you do a put bet and then could you have a come bet that travels inside the 6, and the way he's looking at, he's asking if you could have 3 bets on the 6, and no, because come bets and put bets are the exact same thing. A put bet is simply a come bet that you chose not to have travel. So, like in this case, if this were to win, this entire put bet would win $1,100, right? So we paid out in the come, and then it would be off for $1,100, and then on for $500. It would travel off. You can only have one come bet in at a time. If one hits, then it's, if the other come bet traveled in, and in reality it actually wouldn't even move. It'd be off and on. We would just pay it just like this. But I was just showing it so you could get the idea. If this travels in, that means the put bet got paid and traveled out. Put bets and come bets are the exact same thing. A put bet is just a come bet that you skip the come. That's all it is. So you can't have 2 come bets. You can't have a put bet and a come bet. It's just, again, the same thing. You can't have 2 come bets on the same number. And then his final question is, if you're at this table max, say you've got we call this double parking because it's definitely a viable strategy in places that allow it. This is what I would do if I was at table max. I would start doing put bets or come bets, let them travel in. Doesn't really matter to me at that point. Then he asks, if there were a big 6, big 8 bet, could you put a $500 big 6 and a $500 big 8? And again, yes, unless. Yes, unless. So in this scenario, what he is trying to do is trying to put as much money towards the 6 and 8 as possible. So if there were big 6, big 8, and they'd usually be here in this corner, you could bet those, right? So you could have up to $2,100 betting on the 6 on a $500 table max, on $500 max bet table at most places. There is an exception. Some places, the places that operate the way I'm about to describe generally have much, much higher table limits, $10,000, $20,000. And this also applies to roulette. Some places will look at their table max and say that is the maximum to a number. And what they mean by that is that's the maximum that they will allow bet on any particular number. Doesn't matter how you bet it, but that is going to be the max. So for the 6, if the table max is $500, again, they should allow you to do a $600 place bet, right? But if they say their table max that's the maximum dollar amount to a number, you would not be able to do a put bet without taking your come bet down, right? And if it were the maximum amount to the number, then you wouldn't be able to do odds if you did a table max put bet. So your best bet would be, say, $100 and then 400 odds, or $50 and $450, depending on what they allow. All right, because then 100 flat with 400 odds would be under the $500 table max. So in this case, you're actually still better off with the place bet if they had it. But let's look at, say the 5 or 9. Okay, you could do a $100 put bet, $400 odds. Now this $500 place bet pays you $700. This pays you $700. And so it kind of becomes a wash if they only allow you to approach it as a certain maximum amount towards the number. If they allow you to double park, then by all means double park. But that being the case, 500 is still going to be your max. So if you came in with a $500 come bet or put bet and then wanted to do odds, your max would be $500. You cannot exceed that table max. Now, some places will put 2 table maxes on their signs. I've only seen this at a couple places, but let's say you have, like this would be a good example. Let's say the sign said 500/1000. 500/1000. What that would mean is that $500 is your max bet for the most part. Is your max bet in almost every single situation. 500 would be your max over here. Again, 600 would be allowed on the 6 and 8. 500 would be your max come bet. 500 would be your max pass line bet. The slash right there means the maximum odds. So if they said 500/1000, that would mean that if you had $500 pass line bet or a $500 come bet that traveled in, then the 1,000 would be your maximum odds. You cannot do a $1,000 pass line bet. You cannot do a $1,000 place bet. But some places will have a slightly higher max bet just in relation to odds and odds only. So hopefully that answers that question. Now the second question is interesting. Second question is talking about bubble craps and how some bubble craps have a bet that you can do called place to lose. Place to lose. So instead of placing the bet where you're hoping that number rolls again, you are again placing it to lose. So you're betting that it will not hit. From the research now, this is not something that is taught in any DNS school. It's not something that's a bet on a standard table on a live game. They're not going to allow you to place, quote unquote, place to lose the bet. Now, from the research I've done into it, it actually gets a little bit confusing, mostly because I think they're mistyping what they're trying to say. What it sounds like to me, it sounds like direct lays. That's exactly what it sounds like. For instance, the 5 and 9. You could place to lose $7 to win 5. Pretty much basically a direct lay, only going off place bet odds and place bet payouts instead of the odds. It gets pretty similar to just a direct lay, because if you think about it, you would have to lay $7.50 in order to win 5. Now, what I was reading also said that on the 5 and 9 it would actually be $8 bet to win 5, $8 to win 5. Well, that's basically $7.50 plus a vig to win $5. $7.75 because it'd be a 25-cent vig. Basically, it's a direct lay. It would be a $7.50 direct lay plus the 25 cents vig to win $5. That's the place to lose. From what I read about it, from what I saw about it, it's basically just a extremely low limit, extremely simple, quick, easy way of doing direct lays. Because direct lays on bubble craps, you have a timer that goes down. And direct lays take time because you have to put the money out, then they have to calculate the vig, then it has to tell you what the vig is, then you have to pay the vig. So you have to be hitting a whole lot of buttons trying to place this bet. Whereas you could just hit direct lay, tap in how much you want to bet, done. So from what I read, that's basically what placing to lose is it's a very, very, very low limit direct lay option. So John, I hope this answers your question. Thank you very much for sending it to me. We love answering these kind of emails and questions. And we will catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye now. Okay, guys, so as I promised at the end of the videos, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the live stream and how it's going to work. So the first thing is, if you're interested in being one of the players for our craps tournaments, which is we're going to have every single week, please email us at sincityliving.lv@gmail.com. I need the email addresses and want to know who is interested so that we can get it set up and we can select it. I'm going to have the first round is going to be 16 players. There'll be 4 players per week. The 5th week is going to be the 4 champions from previous weeks to get an ultimate champion. Haven't decided yet what the prize will be. Maybe I'll see if I can pick up another one of these lights. But we'll have some sort of prize for our champion. So please, if you're interested, email us. I want to pick the first 8 players, the first 2 weeks worth of players, so that We'll have the first 4 ready for the first week, and the other 4 will be kind of backup, just in case somebody has connection issues or something comes up and they're not able to play that week. Then I've got the other players on standby, so I can just bump one of them up or maybe shift the first person down or something along those lines. The main tournament is going to be Thursdays at 6 o'clock my time, Las Vegas time, 6 p.m. Las Vegas time. And it's the way it's going to work is it's going to be a time thing. I'm going to do the live stream for an hour. I'm going to do the game for an hour, rather. And it might work out to about 30 rolls, might work out to about 40 rolls. I'm not too sure. We'll see how it goes, but it's going to be time. It's going to be an hour. Instead of the craps tournaments that they do down on the strip where it's 30 rolls, we're going to do an hour. So I want to make sure I have a finite time limit for this to start with, and then we will go from there. I'm going to find a way, either a Discord or a Zoom or a private chat room, some way for the players to be logged into something where I can communicate with them on my second computer so that they can tell me what their bets are, what they want to bet, what they want to press when something hits, without me having to scroll through the full chat of the live stream itself. I'm not going to be able to keep an eye on that, and if we have enough people watching and chatting, it could be difficult to keep an eye. So I have to figure that part out. Another reason I need the emails, so I can communicate back and forth with the potential players. So if you're interested, again, please email me. Eventually, just pretty much everybody's going to have an opportunity to be in on these things because we're going to do multiple ones. I'm also looking at probably doing a second craps tournament, maybe late Wednesday nights, possibly, I'm not sure, where I'm going to do it a little bit different. The second one is going to be, instead of 1 hour and then whoever's got the most chips is the winner, because those craps tournaments tend to have really weird strategies. They're not normal strategies that you'd see in normal play, because you're competing against other players and you just want to make sure you have more chips than them by the end. What I'm going to do with the second tournament is, instead of a weekly winner, we're going to play for an hour, and then I'll keep track of how much money people still have on there, or how many chips they still have. And then the next week, same players are going to keep going. Basically, this game will go until the bankrolls end, until we have one person with money left, or chips left. Again, there's no money involved in this. So once we have one final winner, so people will drop out as their play money bankrolls expire, as they run out of chips. So that one, I'm guessing we'll see some more normal strategies, the kind of things people actually play when they're actually playing craps. And then eventually we're going to add baccarat, pai gow, 3-card poker, blackjack, of course, to these tournaments. Whatever we can, to these live streams and live stream tournaments, whatever we can, when we can, as best we can. We're going to have to figure it out as we go. We have a lot of time constraints between me working full-time plus a child. But we're going to do the best we can. We're very, very excited to have this going. And we also will try and pick a day or time where I can do a patron-exclusive tournament or two. We'll see. We'll see how many of our patrons are interested, and see if we can't get that going as well, where it's only on the patron site. So definitely stay tuned, guys. Please, if you're interested in playing in one of the tournaments or partaking in our live streams, aside from just the chat, obviously it's a live stream, please watch, chat with us, let us know how it's going or what you think, and otherwise, please, again, email us, sincityliving.lv@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Any suggestions, please hit us up. Thank you guys very, very much. We appreciate every single one of you guys, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.